Time is of the essence these days, indie warriors. Here at I Dream of Indie Games, we rarely have the luxury to dive into massive campaigns that last upwards of 50 hours. That's why we appreciate smaller, more concise indie games that can be completed in a single playthrough. Here are 10 of our favorite indie games that can be finished in one sitting. And real quick, don't spend hours trying to find honest gaming coverage that comes from the heart. Head over to patreon.com/idreamofindiegames, where you can gain Discord access to the greatest indie gaming community, early ad-free shows, shoutouts at the end of every video we produce, and more. But best of all, you'll be supporting indie visibility. Your new indie gaming community is waiting for you. Alright, let's get into it. At number 10, we have a wonderful little rhythm game called Melatonin. A sleeper hit, pun fully intended, back when it released in 2022. Melatonin is a rhythm game that takes only a handful of hours to complete, but delivers immaculate vibes. This isn't your typical rhythm game. There are no scrolling notes like in Guitar Hero or Rock Band, there's no plastic instruments, there's no licensed music at all. Instead, Melatonin offers a chilled-out experience divided into a few small chapters. Each chapter feels like its own unique dreamscape, where you'll be tasked with completing various rhythm-based mini-games using just a small set of buttons on your controller. You might find yourself hopping across ladders or bouncing between smartphones, all accompanied by chill beats that keep your mind at ease. The levels have a bit of a microgame WarioWare feel to them. While the main experience is rather short, there are plenty of reasons to revisit Melatonin. Beyond the scores, there are more challenging modes, and there's even a level editor to experiment with. The game also offers accessibility options, allowing players to challenge themselves in various ways. Melatonin requires some patience and practice, but each level is a joy to master. Overall, it's a refreshing take on the rhythm game genre that shouldn't be missed. Its beautiful visuals, pastel colors, and chill beats make it a wonderful addition to your rhythm gaming library. It can easily be completed in one sitting, with plenty of reasons to return. Up next at number 9 is the hauntingly beautiful indie game INMOST. Clocking in around 3 to 5 hours, INMOST might not be the longest game, but it's certainly impactful despite its short duration. This narrative-driven puzzle platformer delivers a fascinating story, amazing atmosphere, and really fun gameplay. However, INMOST isn't for the faint of heart. Its bleak world is rather depressing, haunting, and even a bit disturbing. The story revolves around 3 different characters, but it can be easily spoiled, so I'll go light on the details here. Themes include dealing with inner turmoil and trauma. The characters are all connected for reasons that are eventually revealed, and from a gameplay standpoint, INMOST plays much like a cinematic platformer, a genre that gamers either seem to love or hate. This means INMOST won't be for everyone. Its floaty platforming mechanics are far from perfect, but it's not the most challenging experience either. The puzzles are clever, but not overly difficult either. You'll really be signing up for this one because of its fantastic narrative and atmosphere. I'm personally a big fan of INMOST and highly recommend it to fans of cinematic platformers. Plus, with a short runtime, it won't take up much of your time. Let's keep it a little bit unusual at number 8 with Genesis Noir. Now, fair warning, again, the bizarre plot and themes won't be for everyone in this title, but in the case of Genesis Noir, the game is more trippy than it is disturbing. Following a watchmaker who gets embroiled in a strange romance between cosmic entities, Genesis Noir explores love in a fascinating way. The developers describe the game as a non-traditional point-and-click adventure, and I'd say that's a fair assessment. The puzzles are entertaining, the exploration engaging, and there's even room for experimentation as you traverse the universe. It's a point-and-click game to a degree, but certainly not a conventional one. In fact, nothing is conventional about Genesis Noir, which is part of what makes it such a cool gaming experience. I love its visual style, the music, and overall atmosphere. And with a sequel announced, now's the perfect time to dive in. Clocking in around 5 hours, Genesis Noir will take a bit of grit to muscle through in one sitting, but it can definitely be done. Alright, on to number 7. I know many of you watching this channel grew up enjoying your 3D collectathon platformers, and personally, I'd love to see even more of them in the indie gaming scene. Large, colorful environments rich with hidden trinkets and fun characters certainly spark the dopamine in my brain, which is why I was delighted by Super Kiwi 64, a throwback 3D collectathon with a heck of a lot of heart. For fans of games such as Banjo-Kazooie and Super Mario 64, Super Kiwi 64 is a no-brainer, and it's even got a little of that Spyro the Dragon DNA in it. It's adorable, delightful, and serves as a reminder of how much I love this genre of games. Despite the short runtime, players are given the freedom to choose which levels they want to play, with the game featuring a visual style that feels straight out of the late 90s, early 2000s. The only real downside to the game is that short length, as it can be completed at 100% in about an hour. That's a stark contrast from the games that so clearly inspired it, but regardless, Super Kiwi 64 is a joyous nostalgia bomb despite its short duration, which is perfect for this list. Ah, quack, it's time for the next game. There's a detective on the case at number 6, and he's a real wisecracker. Duck Detective: The Secret Salami is an adorable and often hilarious mystery adventure title, and it's really well made, not duct taped together at all. Okay, I'll stop with the duck puns for now. Animals are no strangers to starring in indie games, and why not? They're often adorable, especially in video game form. That's no exception in Duck Detective, which has you interviewing various furry suspects across its 2 to 3 hour campaign, and it had me laughing my feathers off the entire time. Okay, I said I'd stop, but I didn't. It's a sickness, I tell you. Also, why would I have feathers? Seriously though, this game is easy to play, very well written, and even fully voice acted, which adds a nice sense of immersion to its admittedly wacky premise. While much of the gameplay involves making the proper deductions, that's how the game calls them, it's not just me, and filling in the blanks, this is still a very fun experience that won't break the bank or take up much of your time. It's time well spent, I say. Halfway through, now at number 5, this is a game I consider a must-play, especially if you're looking for a good laugh. Thank Goodness You're Here feels like an interactive sitcom clocking in at just a couple of hours. Often described as a slapformer because, well, you can slap just about anything and anyone in this game, Thank Goodness You're Here is hilarious from beginning to end. And by the way, don't just go around slapping everyone like in this game. It will get you in a lot of trouble. You'll control a traveling salesman through his journeys across the English town of Barnsworth. Grab odd jobs, and I do mean odd, as you meet wacky locals and find yourself in some of the most ridiculous scenarios imaginable. While there isn't much to the actual gameplay, Thank Goodness You're Here is truly an indie gaming experience like no other, and maybe one of the funniest video games ever conceived. If you could only play one game on this list, this would be my recommendation. Its bonkers cast of characters, entertaining exploration, and unusual gameplay scenarios simply have to be seen to be believed. Play it, please. It won a bunch of awards at our recent I Dream of Indie Games awards show, which, by the way, you should check out after you watch this. At number 4, we have a beautiful and often overlooked point-and-click adventure game. It's called Luna: The Shadow Dust. Released back in 2020, Luna might not be perfect, but it is oh so beautiful and features some really clever puzzles. In the game, you're joined by an adorable companion as you make your way up a tower full of challenges. Each puzzle feels vastly different from the last, with some being based on shadows, others utilizing your companion, and some revolving around light. You'll need to switch between the two characters at times, with the puzzle difficulty feeling fair overall, I'd say. The game is light on dialogue, with the story being told through gorgeous cutscenes and the puzzles themselves. Luna is stunning to gaze upon, short, but oh so sweet. Plus the soundtrack is just amazing and even blends into the puzzles at times. This is a great game that a lot of players likely missed out on, so don't let that happen to you. It's just a brief 3 or so hours to get through, making it the perfect candidate for a list such as this. Alright, certainly the most controversial game on this list, and one of the most divisive games we've ever reviewed for this channel, The Suicide of Rachel Foster is a game that players are often completely divided on. Its themes are undeniably cringe, and yet it is a game that makes you feel something, and its impact on the player is pretty undeniable. What starts out as a rather simple tale involving a woman returning to her family hotel after many years quickly reveals itself to be something far more sinister. This narrative thriller isn't amazing from a gameplay standpoint, but I personally think it's a journey worth exploring. Its stomach-churning tale will leave you with mixed emotions, but the fact that a work of fiction can evoke such a response is a testament to the writing, whether you like it or not. There is a dark, very dark twist in this game, so be warned, but it will almost certainly get you thinking, exposing a nastiness that can exist in the world that we often would rather not talk about, or even think about for that matter. Yet another game on this list that simply won't be for everyone, so maybe do your research on this one further if you don't mind spoilers. I personally do think this game is worth your time, and it won't take very much of it. Alright, I hate to bug you with another entry on this list, but at number 2, we have Metamorphosis. This first-person puzzle adventure game puts you in control of an insect, reminiscent of the Spider game back on PS1. Remember that one, anyone? But not so much Bug on the Sega Saturn. That's a totally different style and thing. This is kind of realistic bugs. Anyways, you'll begin Metamorphosis in human form as Gregor, who wakes up with the hangover from hell, realizing he's been shrunk. From here, you're trying to reunite with your body, and there's also a side story involving a detective named Joseph who's gone missing. The game is full of platforming elements and will even have you attaching yourself to walls via a sticky, gooey substance that you'll occasionally come across in the environments. While there is a large emphasis on platforming and exploration, the game also features solid puzzles to help break up the gameplay a bit. It's not a challenging game and can be completed in around 3 to 4 hours. There aren't many experiences quite like it, and it's visually pretty impressive too. Check it out, not enough people have. Last but not least, rounding out our list of bite-sized indies that you can enjoy in one sitting, here's a bite-sized Metroidvania game where you control a mouse that's tasked with saving captured villagers. This is Micetopia. It's a story as old as time, yes, but as far as gameplay is concerned, Micetopia is surprisingly decent. You'll explore just a few environments in this short campaign, relying on your platforming and combat skills. The game has a decent map system, pretty solid mechanics again, and a fun soundtrack and visual style too. Sure, there isn't a ton of enemy variety, the enemy AI isn't great, and the game has other little annoyances, but overall there are a ton of short Metroidvania games that come to mind, which are pretty well made, and I feel like Micetopia certainly fits the bill. Perfect for those of you that want just a bit of Metroidvania without fully committing to a massive adventure. It's bare bones, yes, but sometimes that's okay. But I'll tell you what, this list wasn't bare, and we hope you found a nice indie to power through in a single session on this list. As always, we thank you so much for supporting independent content. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I will see you in the next video. Voice to the voiceless.